Good afternoon, everyone. It is Wednesday Wisdom on Trap Chat Live, and I am very excited to be joined today by my very special guest, the Director of People and Culture from Willory, Christie Engler. She is the author of People Fusion. She is a diehard Ohio Buckeye fan, and I've just been put on notice that the women's basketball team is going to the Sweet 16. So she's probably going to be a little insufferable when it comes to the Buckeyes for the next 45 minutes or so that I have her here to talk about HR, being a people-centric leader, and all things teenage girls. So, like I said, hailing from Ohio, we have Christie. Christie, if you want to give a little bit more formal introduction, please do that now.
Thanks, Kirsten. I'm so excited to be here. Appreciate the invite. Yeah, it's an awesome and crazy time in our world, in our industry, as a mother of teenagers. There's all kinds of craziness going on right now. But yes, here in Columbus, Ohio, I've been practicing HR for going on 20 years, mostly with small businesses, family-owned businesses, which, I feel like they should get reality cameras. They would make more money than their own business, because it's awesome to see some of those dynamics. But I'm just really passionate about the industry and about making work better for everybody.
Yeah.
We all have to do it. Everybody has to earn a living in some way, shape, or form. So I feel like it's kind of the one thing that really unites all people in some way. And so, we just want to make it as good as it possibly can be. And so I'm really passionate about that and helping, especially our new folks coming into the industry, helping them figure it out, get their footing, learn from those of us that are kind of blazing the trail. So.
Yeah. So what's one thing that because, I'm a recruiter, and I didn't choose the recruiting life. The recruiting life chose me. I would never have.
And God bless you, because I couldn't be a recruiter. So thank you for being a recruiter.
Listen, I have a lot of HR friends who are business partners, directors, folks who came up through, and sometimes they have dipped their toes in recruiting, and that I can say of all of the subject matter expertises, recruiting is most people's least favorite, unless you are a recruiter. So
right.
I can appreciate that, and thank you for that. But what got you, like, how did you decide, I want to work in HR?
So it was kind of funny. When I was 3, I told everybody I was going to be the president of the United States. My grandma had the Lincoln Room picked out. Like, we had this whole thing. I was 3 years old. When I was about 5, I was like, I should probably do something else before I become the president. So I landed on lawyer. I'm gonna be a lawyer. The only thing I ever knew about being a lawyer was whatever you saw on TV, right?
Yeah.
But I had that, and I had that in my head all through high school, and then going into college. Of course, went to the Ohio State University, and I was planning on law. This was going to be the thing.
Right.
And they started a program for those of us in the arts and sciences to get a minor in business. Just kind of like it was kind of like an overall business program. Okay, cool. So one of the classes was an HR class. So I'm a junior, and I'm going to this class, and I'm sitting there, and seriously, it just clicked for me. It was like, This is awesome. I love everything about this. This is what I should be doing with myself. So I changed courses. I figured I finished my political science degree because I was already too far into it. But then I went and got master's in HR, and took one of the first HR jobs I could get at the time, and just went from there. But I really feel like it's a calling for me, and that this is part of why I'm on this planet.
Yeah, so you've been in HR for 20 years, and like you said, you really started back in undergrad.
Yeah.
And then you went on to get your master's in HR as well. So you're definitely committed.
Yeah.
But over time, because things have absolutely changed in terms of work and the way that we work,
Right.
the way that we talk about work, the way that we engage our coworkers, all of those things. Human resources has evolved.
Absolutely.
So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some of the things that you saw, along the way that you actually, took with you and didn't leave behind?
Yeah. I think for me, and one of the biggest things that I talk a lot about on my blog and when I'm doing speaking engagements and just talking to people who are trying to get into the industry, education is great. Certifications are great. All of that is wonderful and it will help you. But HR is really an experience game at the end of the day. There's not many books or webinars that are going to teach you what to do when an employee comes to work drunk, or someone brings a gun into the building, or someone's spouse shows up because they're in a domestic situation. All those things have happened to me. I've dealt with all of those situations and more, and I'm grateful because it's the experiences that teach you how to handle these things. So it's really, really key that, especially when you're newer coming into this, that you surround yourself with people who've been there. I was so fortunate that my first HR gig was with a PEO. And so I was surrounded by generalists who had been doing this for 10, 15 years at the time, who could tell me all their cool stories. And then when something came up, because we were an outsourcing company, so you're dealing with stuff all day, every day. And so I'd get these different situations and they'd say, okay, so think about it like this. And, and don't always just assume and give the black and white answer, because a lot of times where HR gets a bad rap is because we're the principal's office, right? Or we're just all about the policies. You got to give employers options. Your job is to help them mitigate risk. So for every situation, there's usually more than one option. Now we may not always like it. It may not be what I would do, but okay, if you do this, this might happen. And if you do this, this might happen. How much risk are you willing to take on? That's really what we're there to do for business owners and for leaders. Some things are going to be very black and white, very, you can't do this because it really is the law and da-da-da-da. However, this is what my experience has taught me. This is what I have actually seen happen in practice with similar situated businesses. That's where I've been able to really become a trusted advisor to the businesses that I've worked with, because they're like, well, she doesn't just come in like a bulldog in a china shop saying no all the time, and then, being so forceful with policies and things. It's about, okay, how much risk do you want to tolerate?
So that's interesting that you say that. I started to think about when you were mentioning some of your situations. I was thinking about it from, a recruiting perspective and being HR adjacent, working inside of corporations. I obviously was privy to a lot of information. A lot of times we get some of these situations and we have to turn them over. And you touched on a point about, it's not always black and white, and that sometimes you can't go by policy. And I thought about the day that someone died at work. And unfortunately, it was the person who would have told us what to do. And we're all like, so we went to the HR person who was in the building, and we're like, okay, XYZ is not, like, they passed away at their desk, like, and what do we do?
Right.
And they were like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And it was a matter of, okay, the procedure is, like I said, this person would have been the one that told us, because it was a security person, like what the procedure was, like how to, like when to call 911 or who to call instead of not, like all of those things, like were kind of lost, and they were left up to an HR person to try and not only again, this is someone that they had worked with for years. They had a good working and like them as a person. Like, so they're having to deal with their emotions.
Right.
We're trying to make sure that we don't cause, more confusion and, mess up anything, touch anything, go into an area like how you do all that. And sometimes I think about like, I feel like we take the people-ness and the emotion out of being an HR practitioner because we're trying so hard to stay in line with the policy and with all of that. Has that been your experience too? And what is your advice for HR people who find themselves in these situations? Again, someone comes to work, like you said, drunk. Someone is, being hostile, brandishing a weapon. Someone is attacking or coming to attack a significant other or something like that. Like, what is your advice to HR people? Like, when do you lean on your emotion and when do you stick to the book?
Right. And I think regardless of the situation and all of those three examples, certainly people are people. People are going through stuff every day and we have no idea, I have no idea what's going on in your world and you have no idea what's going on in mine.
Right.
We all put on, certain facades, or we see things in social media and we think that, people have great lives or they're, super wonderful thought leaders or, whatever. And you have no idea that, I'm dealing every day with a special needs child.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a real toll on me, and what I go through with that. And most, a lot of people are not aware of that. So most of those situations that have come up with employees, there's always something else going on. It's never one and done. It's never about just the one thing that's right in front of you. There's always something else going on. So HR people have got to, and I'm not saying be the parent, but we do have to wrap our arms around our people. And we do have to embrace them as people. Let them be themselves. They're not perfect. They all go through stuff, and we have to give them grace. We have to give them grace at the end of the day. So all of the, at the same time, absolutely, all those situations, there's a safety component, right, for all the rest of our people. We need to know what our processes are. We've got to train our managers. They've got to be well known, as to what to do on all of those things. That's another thing I see a lot of, particularly small business HR folks. They try to do it all themselves and they can't. They absolutely cannot, but they feel like they have to. You've got to lean on other people in your organization. It can't just be you. So I think that's really, really important, but just let people be themselves, give them grace. Don't, immediately it's not about going to the principal's office. It's not about getting in trouble. It's about figuring out what's going on. How do we help this person? How do we support? Because everybody's going through stuff. That's just the reality.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. And I do want to stay there because there's a lot of myths about recruiting. I do my best to combat them every single day, especially on the internet, especially with other people who say they bear the title of recruiter or talent acquisition expert, leader, whatever they're calling themselves. Career something or other. God bless you. And but what's a misgiving about the HR profession or the practice of HR that you just stop it? Like you want them to just not say that or not have that idea anymore?
Just get out of the policies over people.
Okay.
One of my biggest pet peeves is, well, we can't do the right thing because that's going to set a precedent. I about got into it with some people on Facebook a couple weeks ago.
Wait, don't set a precedent of doing the right thing. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Oh.
So let's not take care of our person because we're afraid that it's going to lead to something down the road. The real reality is you're going to be hard pressed to find two employee situations that are ever exactly the same.
Yeah.
Setting precedent is actually really, really difficult. Ask any employment attorney and they will agree with me. They'll say, it's every single thing's not always going to have all the same circumstances. The other thing is, quite honestly, some of the smaller companies can get away with stuff that bigger companies can't. If you have an awesome rock star person and you want to give them extra paid time when they are having a child or they're off or whatever, you're allowed to do that. That's not going to set you up for failure. It's not going to be the collapse of your company, I promise. But I see too many HR people who are afraid to take some of those risks and do some of those right things by people because, this exact thing might come up again in 25 years. Doubtful.
and the likelihood that you're going to be there is slim to none.
Slim to none. Yeah. So it's be reasonable and rational. Sometimes you've got to take the checklist and throw it out the window.
Ooh.
Yeah,
no checklist. So you talked a little bit about social media and these personas and these experts and things. Oh, it started raining.
Probably us here too.
Well, I'm facing the window and I just looked up and I was like, so if it gets dark in here, you know why? Because my natural light is gone. Sorry about that. So you talked about social media and, folks having a persona. Again, how can HR people navigate, and execute when it comes to like the type of things that they're sharing, the content they're creating? Like, should we all be rushing out there to be content creators? Should we all be rushing out there to, get that tweet up about the article that just came out? Should we be the first one to say, Forbes, you're stupid? Sorry, they're gonna throw me off of lives again. I'm not gonna be able to do this again. But yeah, like, are there things that HR people should be doing, and then some things that we probably should not be doing?
And I think there's a lot of good out there. There are a lot of good thought leaders. There is a lot of good content.
Yes.
One thing that I tell folks a lot is don't feel like you have to do everything, because I feel like people get very bogged down. I mean, if you wanted to, you could be on a webinar or part of something probably most hours of most days. So I feel like a lot of, especially some of the newer folks coming in, they're get a little overwhelmed by, and I'm like, you have to pick and choose. You have to just do some things and then move on. Because again, it needs to enhance your experience in the industry. It might be more meaningful to have some one-on-one conversations with somebody than it is to sit in a bunch of conferences and seminars and things like that. I feel like, one thing that I think a lot of us need to do more of is really find the industry that we're interested in and really pursue that. I love manufacturing, construction, financial services, IT companies. Like, that's my thing. I discovered a long time ago, healthcare was not for me. That's not my thing, but I have friends that do it and love it. And I'm so glad that they do, because they're needed and they're passionate, about it. So, that's one thing that I think could help some HR people too, is get focused about what industry do you actually want to work in? Do you actually care about it? Because if you're not caring for the industry that you're working in, you're not going to be able to be as effective, I don't think. But getting back to social media, I think there's a lot of good stuff out there. You don't have to do everything. You don't have to be a part of everything. I would like to see more articles, groups, webinars, things geared towards small business.
Oh, okay.
Not enough out there for the small business community. And I will tell you that there are a ton of people who are HR practitioners in small businesses, but they're also controllers and office managers and personal assistants, and they're doing all kinds of stuff, and they don't have time for, and they probably don't have the budget either for a lot of these things. So I'd like to see a lot more resources dedicated to those folks who are really on the front line and need it. And those are some people we could gain some valuable insight from by their experiences.
Yes, I love that. As a small business person, I applaud that and I thank you for saying that. And a small business person who worked inside of global
Right.
organizations, like there's a huge difference. And resource, it does come down to resources because everybody can't go to SHRM, everybody can't go to Unleash, everybody can't go to the iSIMS conference that's in San Diego or and we don't pick the HR people try to, act like they're not fun folks. But, we always seem to have our conferences in San Diego, Las Vegas, Orlando. We're going to be close to a bar, an amusement park, and some music.
HR people know how to party. That is
yes,
100%. Some of the best times I've had have been just with hanging out with my HR folks because these people know how to get down. 100%. 100%.
Okay. So, all right. One more topic on HR specifically. You talked about, some of the policies and procedures that we need to throw away. You talked about what it's been like to go from, college HR to business and expand and grow in your career. You talked about the type of content we should be putting on social media. So what is your favorite part about HR?
Mine, honestly, at the end of the day, if I have one employee, any person, any level, I don't care, who is positively affected by something that I've done, that's the best thing in the world. I did an onboarding one time for a gentleman who had recently taken custody of his 2 granddaughters because his wife and his daughter passed away.
Oh, wow.
And he'd been on public assistance. He was so excited to get this job because he wanted to get off of that. He had 2 granddaughters who both were excelling in school and activities, and they were just, phenomenal young ladies. And he was so grateful for the job. And so to be able to onboard him, help him through his benefits, he was really excited about that, about getting, having real healthcare, for those girls. And it was just one of the best days of my entire career because he was just so grateful. He was so excited. He's still there. He's one of their best employees. That was several years ago, but to be able to do something like that and make work better for somebody, that's all I do at the end of the day.
Yes. I love that. Make work better for somebody. I love that. And I said that was going to be the last HR question. I was not telling the truth, as usual, because I forgot like one of the most important things. You say your tagline is like you're a people's.
Yeah.
Oh, the power just went out. That you're a people-centric leader.
The spirits are with us.
This is what happens when you do a live show. Okay, so you're a people-centric leader. What does it mean to be a people-centric leader?
So I think it's being able to make those tough decisions when you just have to focus on the person, on the individual, the one situation in front of you, and everything else kind of gets thrown out because you need to take care of that person. You value them as a true member of your team. And, quite honestly, and you don't see a lot of companies that practice this way at all, but, without the people, their business would not be there. It would not be running. It would not be going. So organizations that truly are people first and they don't do silly things like not obeying the law or, some of these things that could really be risky to their, but all for the sake of profits, all for the sake of that bottom line number. All of the layoffs that we've been seeing, especially, when it comes the last, quarter of the year, absolutely makes my blood boil. I have had a longstanding rule in my career. I don't believe in fourth quarter terminations of any type unless it's like egregious.
Yeah.
It's not the right thing to do, know? And so the one time that I dipped my toe into a bigger corporation and they were doing that, and to everybody at the HR team, it was just like, oh yeah, well, this is just what we do. And I'm like, I'm not okay with that. That doesn't sit well with me, just for the sake of having a number that looks good on a balance sheet. So, I'd love for some company to say, you know what, it's okay if we lost some money because we've got a bunch of other money, but we're going to keep people employed. I'd love for somebody to finally say that. And that to me would be, we're actually a people-centric organization.
I love that. And yeah, that irritates me as well. I've worked in different types of businesses, and for us, those layoffs a lot of times happened around the times the bonuses were going to be paid out, because they didn't want to do that, or they wanted to make sure that certain people made their bonus. So how do we adjust these line items so that we look, for lack of a better word, more profitable or healthier than we should? Yeah, I hate that. And again, I told another fib. I said that was going to be the last question about HR. But you're also an author. You wrote a book called People Fusion. I'm pretty sure it's sitting at my house on my I hope it made it into the mailbox. But who knows? Like I literally had a FedEx the other day, and they just leaned it up against the steps. They didn't even bother walking up to my unit. They just said, forget it. I've got to the base and I'm leaving it here. So it could be anywhere. But for those of you who don't know, like I said, People Fusion is available on Amazon as well as on Christie's website. If you wanted to purchase that. But can you just give us a brief overview of your book and why people should go ahead and buy it like I did?
Absolutely. So People Fusion is actually the 5th in a series of various fusion books on different business subjects. There's a marketing, there's a sales, there's a leadership. And the best thing about it is that it's not just me rambling on for 300 pages. It's 15 other thought leaders as well, who all collaborated. And so I love that, because you get a lot of different perspectives. And our book, I'm really proud of, because it is very diverse in thought. It's very diverse in authorship. Really, really cool. Different stories. Every chapter will take you to a different place and give you different tools, different resources, all kinds of cool, fun stuff. So it was a really fun experience to do for kind of my first, publishing thing, which can be daunting for people. So, and like I said, you go to any Barnes and Noble, there's 400 books on business and leadership. And I mean, there's, but I really like this because of the kind of the small snippets and just the collaboration that took place. And so I think it's a little more entertaining than some others. And I think there's something in it for everybody.
All right. I love it. Thank you. And tell folks where they can pick it up.
So come to my blog, which is christieengler.blog.home. And there's a link right on there to buy People Fusion, and a portion of all of the proceeds are going to organizations that support the autism community.
Great. Blog.home. Okay. Just typing that up. Hey, Wendy Daly's there. Oh, you know what? I might have my Girl Scout cookies when I get home too. Listen, I'm going to curl up with a box of Girl Scout cookies and People Fusion. And it's going to be a good day.
It's going to be a great day.
Yes. I love it. All right. So we're at the 30-minute mark. And I do want to be respectful of your time. And I want to move into the Women's History Month rapid speed round of questioning. You dropped a great number of jewels during our main talk, but I did want to ask if you wanted to add anything to the conversation or just restate something that you already said. What's a piece of advice that you would have for an early career person who's interested in getting into HR today?
So I get this question quite a bit, and I know that there's a lot of folks who have been in other other parts of business, and they think, oh, HR looks cool, and maybe that's a next step. And I love it. Again, it's an experience game. So you do have to be willing to kind of come up through the ranks again.
Okay.
I've known a lot of people who, they have a lot of different types of great experience, and it'll certainly help. But again, if you don't have some of the basic foundational things, some of the laws, the different processes that are a foundation of HR, on top of some of those very interesting employee experiences, that's really what's going to help build a career. So I tell folks all the time, just, be patient, find the right organization and surround yourself with the right people, but be willing to kind of come up and learn from people around you.
Okay. And staying there in the advice column, what's the best piece of career advice you got, but you didn't take or you took later in life?
So one of mine early on was calm down. That was because, you come out of college, you think you're pretty, hot, you think you're doing, the right things. And it doesn't really occur to you that there's a bunch of other people who already work at this place who have been doing this. And now as an adjunct professor with undergrads, I see it in them, and I go, oh geez, and so I'm trying to help them understand that, they're not ruling the world yet. But so just having some of that respect, the humility, knowing that others came before you and helped blaze that trail, and, use what you can from that and go forward is really the key.
I love it. Calm down.
Calm down.
Relax.
Calm down. Boss Carol told me that, and I love her to this day for telling me that.
Oh, wow. I don't think anyone's ever told me to calm down, but they probably meant calm down. Because I am very, very hyper, as you all know. And sometimes I need to just relax. All right. So what TV or movie character gives you a glimpse of yourself?
So I've been told, I haven't seen Scandal. That's one of the ones that I want to binge. But I've been told by other people that Kerry Washington's character, that I'm very similar to that. So I'm really excited to watch her. I've also just recently picked up The Morning Show.
The Morning Show? I don't know that one.
It's on Apple. It's Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell. Very, very cool and interesting.
For yes, I have seen that.
It starts out with an employment scandal. So it's pretty cool. But I relate a lot to the Reese Witherspoon character.
Okay.
So
I'll have to watch that. I try to stay on one streaming service at a time because I get confused on what channel my shows come on.
Which one is which?
Yeah. So I'll have when I go back to Apple TV, I will have to check that out. All right, that's a good one. That's a good one. And now that I was thinking about it, did you watch all those other shows like the one about WeWork? There was one about about organizations that kind of crashed and burned. Did you see the WeWork one, whatever it was called?
Not yet. That's on my list too. Yeah.
What is it called? I know Christina knows it because she's posted some memes about it. But anyway, so check that one out too. That's good. And then one of my favorites, is always going to be Office Space. Office Space is probably the best representation. Other people talk about The Office as a TV show. And while there are quotables, can we be honest, that's not work, except for Toby, because Toby was the only HR person and they treated him badly. And Steve Carell's character said, you're not part, like Michael Scott said, you're not a part of a family.
You're not really,
You're not part of our family. Actually, you're not a part of any family because you're divorced. So that's kind of how. That's HR in a nutshell. That part's true. Yes, that part's true. All right. What is your go-to song when either you're about to get on the stage and deliver a hot keynote, maybe get up and teach a class, or just need to hype yourself up to attack the day?
So sometimes it depends on the day.
Okay.
I went to the Lady Gaga concert last August.
Oh, wow.
And so I've been on a kick with a lot of Lady Gaga on my playlists. And so that definitely will get me going. Sometimes you just need the Taylor Swift, give it to me, kind of songs. Sometimes it's, my good old classic rock that I love that gets me up in the morning. And then if it's in the fall, of course, I'm listening to the Ohio State Marching Band most days. Give me a little.
They have like an album?
Oh yeah. They have many.
Really?
Many albums. Yep.
Oh wow! I just learned something new.
Yep. You can get them on any of the playlists.
I'm very fascinated and very proud that this is the only time that you have said something about it's the second time you said the Ohio State University, but yeah, like I'm impressed that you did not say that 15 times in the conversation. But so where are you watching the Sweet 16 women's basketball side? Like, where are you going to watch it?
Probably at home. I think we're celebrating my mom's birthday this weekend, so
nice.
we like to watch all together and as our family. So
okay.
So yeah, but unfortunately, because it's the women, it's hard to go out in public and get it on TV. They don't always show it when it's the women's games, which is really, really unfortunate. But
even in Ohio?
Even in Ohio.
Oh wow.
Yep.
That's interesting. I just feel like everyone in Ohio roots for Ohio State. So I don't know anyone who, if someone says Ohio, like they literally are going to add Ohio State to the conversation at some point. All right. And while we were backstage, you talked a little bit about you're also a runner?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I am. When's your next race?
So I'm training for my first half that'll take place 1 month from tomorrow. So April 23rd. So really excited for that. And it's been really great. Started training at the first of the year and things are going really well. So, but yeah, I've been running for about 3 years and, I had like a start-stop relationship with running for many years. Most people will say that. And then, something clicked about 3 years ago. And, it is even just before the pandemic started. So yeah, that, and then the Big Ten 10K in the summer.
Okay. So. All right, great. So before we go, I want to give you an opportunity to tell people what is next for you. Where are you speaking? Where can they find you? If you want to drop the address for your, I forgot to put it up there. Drop the address for your book again, or whatever. Where can people check you out and what's next for you?
Awesome. So April 4th, I am giving a webinar that is based around the People Fusion book that I'm really excited about with Star Staffing out in California. They're hosting that event. And so that is on my LinkedIn. So if you're interested in signing up for that, it's a 1 hour, I believe it's 1:00 Eastern time on the 4th, but that's out there on my LinkedIn. Excited about that. And then the big thing for me is HR Unite in the summer, July, a fantastic event. If anybody doesn't know about HR Unite, get out there and check it out. We have lots of little geographical groups that get together, and it's seriously just HR practitioners leaning on each other, venting, helping, whatever we can do, providing resources. And but nice conference in the summer with really great content. And so I'm excited to be a part of that this year.
All right, awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for joining the show. We are closing out Women's History Month next week. And I think you're really going to enjoy the show. So please come back Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. I will be hopefully more rested and not have ghosts turning the lights on and off in random conference rooms. All right, thank you guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.